morning. My name is Michael Neal, and I'm a co-host today in the Napa Valley. We're holding our first annual vine pruning contest, first in the state actually for the 2014 year. There's approximately 13 schools that are present today with about 80 students that are going to be doing pruning.
Thank you guys for coming out here and helping with us with this contest. It's our first year doing it. We go down to Fresno every weekend in the month of January, typically every year. And this past year they asked if we would do a contest up here so their kids would see something a little different. And so Mike and Johnny headed it up, which is great. Everyone's really excited to be here. And yesterday they talked to them about some of the practices in the Napa Valley, and we took a tour of the castle. And so today,
yeah, I think it's a good contest. It's fun. It's fun to come up here and check out the little different vines, different systems, and I think it's a good experience. Good first contest for these kids.
They're going to be pruning 3 classes of vines: cane pruning, bilateral cordons, as well as quad cordons. And then they'll take a test later on to wrap up the contest. We have judges from around the state as well, some local judges that have vineyard management companies or work for vineyard management, as well as from the Central Valley as well. So we have kind of a broad horizon of students as well as judges here to judge those students on their ability to prune with thoroughness and as expertly as they possibly can. Part of the pruning contest today is one of the classes is cane pruning, and this is a typical vineyard with canes where we leave a fruit cane such as this from last year and tie it along the wire. And then this coming season what they do is usually would cut it off here and leave a new fruit cane to replace this one. So the crop is born on still 1-year-old canes off a 2-year-old wood. So we consider this a 1-year-old off a 2-year-old. And then on this side we have the same thing. This vineyard is machine picked, so you can see the evidence of the rake assist still here after the machine has passed by for harvest. But going back to the pruning, the pruner would select the best of the canes that he has in the position to go along the wire, and a renewal spur if it works out that they can use something for a renewal spur, such as this guy right here. And the idea is that if there's no usable canes they can use for a fruit cane for this pruning season, they can opt to use this one right here, which is on the outside, and tie it to this wire, and then make this their 2-bud spur here for renewal for next year if they need to have that. And generally what we look for as advisors, as coaches, as vineyard management and industry people is we want to make sure that the cane that is being selected is of average growth. We don't want something that's weak because it's not very strong and will not produce a lot of fruit, and consequently we don't want something that's a bull cane that's as big and round as my thumb and 5 feet long, because it also is as unproductive as a weak cane. So if we get something that's of normal caliber with normal internodes, the internodes is the space between the 2 buds, we'll have excellent, we can have excellent opportunity for these buds to all push and be productive. The other class of vines that they're pruning this morning is a bilateral cordon, which is exactly what it means. Bilateral goes 2 directions. It's a cordon that's a permanent fixture that's tied to the wire, and we generally leave 2 bud spurs, which is basal plus 1, 2. This one here is a 2-bud spur, a 2-bud spur, a 2-bud spur. And the idea is you want to cut this off this year and cut it here, approximately 2 buds. Cut this here, remove it, and take all of this off. That helps maintain uniformity in the height of the spurs. This is excellent right here from last year, approximately 3/8 of an inch above the bud, a little bit of angle away, so that way the tylosis and the sap doesn't land on the bud as it's trying to push through and perhaps rot the bud. For the 3rd class that these students had to prune today, unfortunately we had to move to another location to get what we call a quad system. That's where there's cordons on either side and an open lyre trellis system like this. And in this particular site, they're very vigorous vines. They're Sauvignon Blanc, grafted in 2004 onto Pinot Noir. So their challenge was today was to prune 2 of these vines in 8 minutes, and that's both sides, and pull all the brush off. And now they're going to be doing reasons on that 3rd vine in front of the judge of why they're cutting here and what they're leaving and all of that. But the main goal is, again, is to try to keep their spur positions in a fashion that their canes, as they come up, or the shoots come up in the spring, can go into these movable wires and trap those shoots, and because we need to keep the center of the open lyre open as much as possible for the dappled sunlight. So a situation like this, where we know that the upper position usually is the most vigorous, we still would want to try to cut down to one or the other of the lower positions. In this case, it was basal plus 2, basal being, this was the basal bud last year, and it threw a shoot, and this was the first bud and the second bud. So our suggestion would be for the pruner to probably prune like this, removing, even though that's more vigorous, and that as well. And that way, when next year, see again, we have to look forward to the pruning system for next year. Next year, as this shoot comes up and this shoot comes up, we're going to probably cut here, and this one's still in the center of our trellis system. Whereas like this one is coming outward so far, it's going to be hard if we don't curtail it and try to get something to grow inside. And one way we can do that is to force, even though we might sacrifice some crop, is to force these buds or these buds to still come back and grow. Same thing here. We have a somewhat weaker shoot, a very weak shoot, and we have a good strong one that's in an excellent position. So my suggestion would be that we'd prune it to there and get that out of there. This is just one of the many facets of an FFA program. Is vine pruning. There could be tree fruit pruning. There's small engines, bookkeeping, record keeping, from judging swine to horses to so much. But I am very partial to teaching our students here at St. Helena High School the correct methods of vine pruning, what to look for, what not to do, to try and advance their knowledge in how to take care of a grapevine, which I think also leads to them to other crops such as roses or maybe fruit trees, because we talk about that in the similarities of pruning. But again, I feel that it's always important to teach students, if we can, the correct ways to do things, because they have a long ways to go in life and they can carry that forward with them. And who knows if some of them will not become ag teachers at some point in their career and maybe have a vine judging or a vine pruning team as well.